His name was Logan Brooks. He was 29 years old, worked at an auto repair shop in rural Texas, and was boarding a flight for the first time in 5 years. He never liked flying. It wasn't fear, it was discomfort. He felt trapped, disconnected, and worst of all, he couldn't smoke. Flight 292 from Dallas Airjet took off shortly after 3 p.m., headed for San Diego. 3 hours and 20 minutes in the air, clear skies, bright sun. The pilot said it would be a smooth flight. But Logan wasn't listening. He was sweating. His whole body ached from the lack of nicotine. He got through security with the pack of cigarettes hidden inside his sock, along with a tiny plastic lighter. He'd done it before, never had a problem. What bothered him wasn't the risk of getting caught. It was the uncontrollable urge, the need, the kind of thing people who've never smoked will never understand. He sat in seat 31F by the window, the kind of seat that boxes you in. He stared at the wing shaking slightly in the wind and pictured a cigarette in his mouth, just one drag, to finally breathe for real. He had seen a video on TikTok of a guy smoking in an airplane bathroom using a simple trick. Turn on the sink, let the hot water create steam, blow the smoke into an empty bottle, then slowly release it down the drain. He saved the video, watched it 3 times at the gate. On the screen, the guy smiled after taking a drag, like he had beaten the system. Logan gave a small smirk at the time, but now, inside that metal tube, flying 38,000 feet above the ground, that video felt like more than a trick. It was a potential escape, a relief he desperately needed. An hour and a half into the flight, the cabin lights dimmed. Some passengers were asleep, others were watching movies. Logan got up and headed to the rear bathroom. He locked the door, turned on the light. The ventilation noise was low but constant. He turned the faucet to hot. Steam started to rise. He grabbed the water bottle he'd already emptied, took a drag from the cigarette, and blew the smoke into the bottle. Hot, tight, but it worked. His head went light. His body relaxed. He took another long drag, closed his eyes. For 3 seconds, he felt peace, the only peace he knew, the kind that came with the slow burn of a filter, the heat ripping through his lungs, a habit that for a few moments erased everything. Work, his ex, the bills, but he missed one detail. The lit cigarette, which he had rested for a second on top of the metal trash bin, rolled off and dropped straight inside. The bin was full. Paper towels, tissues, sanitary pads, all dry. And while the metal could resist heat, what was inside couldn't. The smoke coming from the lid wasn't like cigarette smoke. It was darker, hotter, real. Logan tried to open the lid, but it was jammed. He grabbed a cup of water from the sink and threw it inside, thought he had fixed it. He hadn't. The heat kept rising. The smoke detector, mounted on the ceiling, finally picked up the signal and went off. In the cockpit, the alert sounded like a red siren. Smoke in rear lavatory. Immediately, the captain reported the incident to air traffic control and began emergency procedures. One of the flight attendants rushed to the bathroom, knocked on the door. Logan opened it with wet hands, trying to look calm, but smoke was now pouring out in bursts from the trash bin edges. The flight attendant asked him to return to his seat, grabbed a fire extinguisher, forced the lid open. Inside, glowing embers. The extinguisher wasn't enough. The fire had traveled behind the trash bin, reaching the plastic tubing behind the wall. The aircraft, a CRJ-900 model, had a quiet history of issues with flammable material insulation in the rear service compartment. The FAA knew replacements were in progress, just not on that plane. What was burning now wasn't just paper. It was insulation, wiring, sensors, and with them, the remaining minutes of life for everyone on board. Within minutes, the fire spread behind the metal panel, silently eating through wires, pipes, and the electrical control system in the rear section. The same system that powered part of the aircraft's secondary hydraulic flight controls. Smoke began to fill the passenger cabin. The plane was still flying straight, but the pilots, now in emergency descent, had lost partial control of the horizontal stabilizer, the tail rudder. It was like trying to steer a speeding car with a locked steering wheel. The descent became unstable. Passengers began to scream. Oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling. The plane shook violently. In the cockpit, the pilots exchanged quick codes. Tail compromised. Structural fire. Losing control. The words weren't just technical, they were final. Inside the cockpit, the co-pilot, a former Navy aviator, knew exactly what it meant. There was no coming back. The smoke grew thicker. A black layer spread across the ceiling, people coughing, crying, holding each other. Logan, standing in the aisle, looked toward the back of the plane. He knew what he had done. He knew all he wanted was a smoke. He knew he had put the lit cigarette in there. But now he couldn't speak, couldn't run, couldn't escape. He looked at seat 31F, the window still trembling with the wind. This was supposed to be just another flight, just 3 hours, just one more moment of withdrawal. But he needed that drag. And now it wasn't the wing trembling. It was the end. At 5:41 p.m., Flight 292 lost lift while attempting an emergency landing in Tucson. The tail didn't respond. The aircraft came down nose high, lost stability, and slammed its front landing gear into the runway. The impact split the fuselage in half. Fire spread like gasoline on hot asphalt. Of the 89 people on board, 72 died instantly. Logan Brooks was found burned near the rear bathroom door. The investigation revealed the origin of the fire, all because of one drag, one decision, one mistake, and a flight that should have never gone down. Did the story get to you? Let me know in the comments. Hit the like button and subscribe for more dumb decisions. See you in the next video.